you feeling?
Man, feeling good. Feeling good today. Can't complain. I'm alive, breathing, believing, achieving.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Alright, so who is Jonah Elijah? Ever may not know.
Jonah Elijah is a contemporary black artist living and working in Los Angeles, California. From Houston, Texas, born and raised from a neighborhood called 3rd Ward. I went to Jack Yates High School and I went to the University of Texas University of Texas at San Antonio, and that's where I got my Bachelor's of Arts, and I got my Master's of Arts, Master's of Fine Arts in California at Claremont Graduate University.
Cool. Where did you grow up and how would you say molded you into who you are today?
You said where did I grow up?
Yeah.
I grew up in Houston, Texas, and what molded me was my family. The way I was raised by my pops during the week and my mom and with my siblings on the weekend. So I was the only child throughout the week, and I had 2 brothers and 2 sisters on the weekend. So I think that experience really molded me today because it allowed me to live 2 different lives weekly, and it just allowed my perspective to be unique on life and on people and understanding people.
That's fire. That's fire. I think I've ever heard anything like that. That's crazy.
Yes, sir.
But was there anybody who you looked up to as a kid, and what would you say it was that you admired about them?
I looked up to a bunch of people. I looked up to my pops. I looked up to my mom. Yeah, I feel like I looked up to both of them because these were the people I was really looking at, and I was living their life because they were the leaders of the household during those weeks. And it was just, I looked up to them because of how they handled trials, how they handled certain situations, and it allowed me to, just, it allowed me to just imagine how I would take on different challenges and different trials when they came upon me.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
What did they do for a living? Like, what did your mom and what did your father do?
My father he works for the state of Texas, and he's a healthcare provider. So he goes from house to house, getting the elders, healthcare providers if they need help around the house. And my mom, she's had multiple jobs, and she's always had like some business job. I don't know exactly what she was doing when I was a kid. She was always in some office job, doing something on the computers, typing or something. I can't say exactly, but now she works. She sells life insurance. She sells life insurance, and my dad still does the same thing. Yeah.
Cool. And how long have you been an artist? Like, would you say it was something that was always in you, or like, was it something that you kind of grew into? I
think it's something that's always been into me, but it was something that was put on the back burner. So I used to, while after school, in elementary school, I used to trace Dragon Ball Z characters when I was supposed to be doing my homework. And the way I was able to trace Dragon Ball Z characters was because of my aunt, who is an artist and a designer, and she went to school in New York, and she got her, I don't know what she got a degree in, but she was definitely into design. And she came back home, or back to Houston, with a light board, and that light board, you can put it has light illuminating from the board, and if you wanted to trace a drawing or something out of your coloring book, all you would have to do is put a white piece of paper on top, and you can see that drawing clearly. So, saying that to say, I used to do that while I was watching 106 in Park and Rap City, but I was mostly an athlete. So drawing was just something I was doing while in class when I was supposed to be taking notes and paying attention. And I didn't pick it back up until I was a junior in undergrad, when I was really trying to figure out what I wanted to do in college, because I feel like I was just having fun and wasting time and just taking classes and spending money. So I took a painting class for non-art majors, and that's where I fell in love with it. I had never painted before, but I had always been able to draw. Until I changed my major over to arts, and I was I don't really know how to draw. I thought I knew how to draw a face, but it's different when you get the academic techniques. So I was like, okay, this is how you do it. Yes, sir.
Nah, that's fire.
Yes, sir.
That's fire. What would you say? What would you say is your driving force? Like, what when you wake up? What's the motivation or the thing that keeps that fire under you?
I think it's the wanting to know how to do something because, especially with painting. So it's like if I have a project that I'm working on, 9 times out of 10, there's something in that project I don't know how to do. So it's me, I'm always like trying to figure that thing out, figure out how to make this perspective or make this drawing or make this face. So that really keeps the fire lit in me because even though I went to school for art, I rushed through a lot of those classes and a lot of that time that I was in school. So when I say that because to give you like some backstory, when I was in undergrad, I switched over to art as a junior. So it set me back a year and I didn't want to be the old guy on campus still taking classes even though I switched my major to art. So I crammed a lot of my art classes and finished that degree in 2 years. And so I just took a bunch of classes to get out. I didn't take painting 1, 2, 3, and 4. I only took painting 1. So it was a lot of stuff I did learn as a painter. And then I got accepted into grad school. I don't know how, but when I got to grad school, all the teachers were like, you know what you're doing, so just keep going. So that curiosity of knowing how to do a face correctly, quote unquote correctly, is something that always like is a fire that's lit up under me.
Okay.
Yeah, so I hope that I tied that in together pretty good.
You good, you good. So how would you say social media has affected the creative space or like just creatives in general?
Oh man, it's affected it in a pretty good way. See, me, I like videos and media and pictures and stuff, so I figured out a way to manipulate those things and find a way to like it. So even just making reels, that just reminds me of being in high school and I was in a video editing class on Final Cut Pro and just sitting there doing all of the tedious stuff. So it's definitely effective for me because I just get to have fun with it. It's just another toy for me to play with it. It's just it's a virtual paintbrush for me. So I just get to have fun with the social media stuff.
No, I like that. I like how you put that. It's just another toy. Like,
Yeah, it's just another toy.
Figure out how to utilize it to your advantage.
That's all you gotta do.
No, I feel that for sure. What was your high school experience like?
Oh man, high school was crazy for me because my freshman year I was the only kid on campus with a flat top. So at that time, this is like 2008, 2009, and a flat top was taboo at the time. So when I had a flat top, it was around the time when Brandon Jennings was in the McDonald's High School All-American game, and he had brought back the flat top. And when I was watching that, I was getting my flat top cut in the barber chair. So I always remembered that moment. But say that to say, I was in 9th grade and I had a flat top at this predominantly black high school. Everybody had either Webbies or, taper fades or little bitty afros. And it was just, my freshman year was just crazy because everybody was just looking at me like, what the hell? He has a flat top on his head. But being that I had that in freshman year and being in sports, it was definitely a cultural experience for me. It allowed me to really understand myself and understand black people. Just being around all different types of black people. And I never had like any other type of culture that I was around throughout elementary all the way to high school. So I was only around black people, and I think that definitely built a love for black people for me. So my high school experience was something I really, when I look back at it now, I enjoy it and I understand it a lot, understand my people a lot.
Okay. And what sport did you play in high school?
I started off in 9th grade, I was playing football and basketball, and I stopped playing football my freshman year, even though I could have kept playing, but I just finished off high school with just basketball.
Okay. And how would you say that playing the sport affected you as a person, or like, would you say that it ties in some way or form with your creative space?
Yeah, it definitely ties in because And I always give this reference because I spent a lot of time in my driveway just playing basketball, just working on my jump shot. And I feel like that's like we call that like your stroke or whatnot. And I think now when I come in here, it's like I'm in this driveway again, but I'm just working on it with my brush strokes. So it's kind of like a metaphorical way of me thinking of it. But yeah, it definitely ties in because basketball was a challenge every time you get in the games. You got to you're challenging your opponent. So now when I come in here, I'm always challenging myself to do certain perspectives or certain, how to get a face right. So it's always a challenge. So I think I'm just in the game.
Yeah,
it's in the game.
All the time.
All the time. It's not really practice. I mean, even when you're on the court, you're practicing, but you're in the game. So it's kind of both.
So really, you just kind of shifted lanes. You feel me? You just use what you had in basketball and apply that to paint. So.
Yeah, I think when I used to spend time by myself shooting around, that was like the best time for me because it was the most therapeutic. I could sit and really think about conversations and think about how to perfect the shot. And I think it's that same type of therapeutical energy that I have when I'm in here by myself with just music and painting. So it's the same type of moment of I can't think of the word, but it's like peaceful.
Solitude?
Solitude. I was about to say serenity. I was like, no, that ain't the word though.
Nah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yes, sir.
What is a code of belief that you live by?
A code of belief? Man, a code of belief.
A code or belief.
Oh, code or belief?
Yeah.
Keeping your word. Keeping your word, keeping your word. That's something I believe in because your word is bond and bond is life. And when you think about the word bond is something I use in here. I'm always using like a type of bond to keep like the shoes per se together onto the piece of wood. So if you keep your word with people, you always build a solid relationship with that person. If you fall on your word, people always look at you kind of sideways, like, you know what I mean? You fell through on that. I can't really take you serious. So I think that's something I always live by. Like I keep my word. So if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna go the extra mile to try to do it. Or if I'm falling back on it, I'm gonna try to make it happen.
Your word, you just gotta stay solid. You feel me?
Stay solid.
Stay solid.
That's what bond is. Bond is hold it together.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
No break.
Yes, sir.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years. So 5 years from 2023 is 2028. I see myself somewhere out of the country, probably doing a residency. Doing residencies in that year and showing in different galleries and museums. I think during that time I'm gonna have a globe where I have red pins in it of where I've been. So hopefully by 2028 I would have got at least 3 or 4 continents of where I've shown art or where I've been for art purposes in 2028.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how would you say like outside, or do you incorporate worldly factors into your work? Or what is your creative inspo come from?
My creative inspo definitely comes from like worldly factors of stuff outside of the studio. So I do use found objects in my work. So sometimes I walk around and I may see something that I relate to or that relates to my childhood that's just, especially in downtown LA, it's trash everywhere, but sometimes I see trash as a piece of gold and I'm like, oh yeah, I can put this in my work and I can attach this and bond it to the piece of wood. But yeah, man, the inspiration comes from everyday life and the way I was raised and my memories. So a lot of these pictures in here are my memories. I use my memory as a sort of reference. Instead of like using picture references, I try to like pull on my brain to really remember a certain picture that would be a great painting or a great moment that I had that was probably wild with my siblings or something and make that a picture. So using my memory.
Nah, that's beautiful. And it probably keeps the memory sharp too, so you don't forget it. It's like a constant reminder.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm always playing these memory games, and I think that comes now that I'm saying it out loud, my grandmother used to always play these memory games with me as a kid. So even like writing down phone numbers, I had to remember phone numbers. She made it into a game. So now that I'm saying it's my first time on air, I'm like, oh yeah, that's probably where that comes from. She used to play a lot of memory games with me, even the game Memory, if you ever played it.
Nah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, me personally, I'm the type, like, I still remember phone numbers. Like, I know my mom, dad, like, the really important people to me, I know they phone number by heart. Like,
Exactly.
and people don't really be doing that. I'd be surprised. I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of because we kind of like slowly turning into robots.
It's a good point. It's a good point. Artificial intelligence is definitely a real thing now.
Yeah.
We live in that age. It's
Yes,
wild. What lesson did you learn the hard way?
What lesson did I learn the hard way? Being patient. Being patient. That's the first thing I can think of right now, even though, like, they say patience is a virtue. And I think that's a lesson that I'm steady learning, or continuing to learn the hard way, is being patient. Just really being patient. If you be patient, you know, you could really get the reward from it. Like, sometimes I see these paintings done already, and I kind of get frustrated with it because it's like, damn, I can see this done, but you still got to go put 100 layers of paint in different places for it to actually be what you see. So, you know, if you just stay patient, you could really get that reward. So that's a lesson that I'm always learning. That's just the first thing that popped up in my mind.
No, I agree. I'm the same way. I feel like definitely worldly factors probably affect that as well. Like, with just, I don't know. It's different times now. Like, everything's a lot faster, and it's constantly getting faster. You feel me?
Right.
But yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. What's the milestone lately that you achieved that you're proud of?
Oh man, so in a couple, well no, maybe like 3 or 4 weeks, I got a residency in Europe or in France to really bring it to a center. So I got a residency in France, in Arvia, France, like six hours away from Paris. So I'll be in France April 17th through May 11th doing a residency, basically working on the next, just figuring out some ideas. It's kind of like a retreat, but I'll be there just working on my quote-unquote next album, kind of how Kanye and Jay-Z went to Paris to produce Watch the Throne. So I'll be, hey, I might, you know what, I'm thinking of some ideas as I speak, but yeah, man, I'm going to, that's a milestone. So anytime I can leave the country for art purposes or travel somewhere for art purposes that I've never been, that's a milestone. So that
as you should.
Yeah.
As
So
it is.
I've never even been out the country, so the paintbrushes brought me from Houston to LA to New York last year. Is where I did a residency in New York, and now it's taking me to France.
Nah, that's beautiful.
Yes, sir.
It's gonna take you all over the world for real.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah.
It's inspiration everywhere.
Yes, sir.
How would you say? Do you enjoy immersing yourself in cultures outside of your own, like exploring other cultures?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I love exploring other cultures because it just really shows how we're all connected in certain ways, even though it may be extreme differences, but sometimes in those extreme differences you find similarities. To me, that's what I see. And but yeah, I love like being with different cultures. I think I experienced that last year when I was in New York because there's so many different cultures in New York that you could just be walking down the street and walk through maybe 4 or 5 different cultures, or you know, just different people. So I think I love experiencing different cultures. It molds you. It allows you to see different things, especially when you've only been in one culture, in one little center of you know, place your whole life.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It definitely keeps the mind open, you feel me?
Keeps the mind open and it humbles you too.
Yeah.
It definitely humbles you.
Absolutely. So, what is the item that means something? An item of significance to you?
An item of significance to me, That's a good question. Cause now it like makes me think of like all of the items and things that I like have around my house that I really find valuable. I would have to say, man, that's such a tough question. That's such a tough question. Dang.
And there's no pressure. Like,
Yeah. Nah, I just gotta think about this because I'm like really thinking about different items that I have. Oh, it's a chain. It's a chain from my grandfather. So yeah, that is a chain that is an item of significance to me because it's something that he had that was passed down from his grandfather to him, and he gave it to me. And he said when he died, he was gonna give me that chain, and then ended up getting it. And it's a little piece. So what is that called? A Pendleton, the circle. And it's a $5 coin. So it's gold, but it's cool. It's a cool little coin. So that's an item of significance. I don't know if that answers the question, but yeah, that's something I find significant that I want to keep forever and eventually pass that down. I think the legacy is important.
Nah, that's beautiful. Honestly, I wish that I had something like that. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
It's a piece of time, like literally a piece of time that's being passed down and down and down.
Right.
I forgot what the technical word for that type of stuff is, but we know what we talking about.
Right.
What would you tell your 13-year-old self?
13-year-old Jonah. Well, I would tell the 13-year-old self to just be confident in himself, to really be, just be confident. I think when I was 13 years old, I had the flat top at the time, and I was just kind of like unsure walking into rooms when I was really walking into rooms, all the eyes would shift, but you could probably see me cave in. So I would tell myself to just be confident in yourself and just walk with confidence. Just own it. Own anything you do. Even if you had on too big of shoes, which I did, I would say just own everything you did as a 13-year-old. Just really believe in it, even though it might have been extremely goofy.
Hey, it's you though.
It's
unique.
Right.
It's unique. So own your uniqueness.
There it is. Own my uniqueness.
That's real.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Is there anything you would like to leave with the audience?
I would say, man, just keep following me on JonahElijah.com. That's my website, and also on Instagram, Jonah.Elijah. Keep following me and keep enjoying the growth as I'm enjoying my growth in a humble way. I say that humbly, but yeah, just keep watching.
Yes,
see
sir.
what happens. Let's see where the paintbrush takes me.
Yes, sir. Every story gets better.
It just keeps getting better.
Cause you write it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that was smooth.